Okay, so I'm asthmatic, but during my pregnancy, I was not asthmatic. And then during my pregnancy, I didn't have astigmatism. Like my eyes, I need my glasses at all times, but I could see without my glasses. That shocked me. That's why when I see certain things happening, like maybe I go to a restaurant and I see a woman being odd, I just calm down because you don't know what is going on there. My mental state was okay for a while, but because I was cut away from family and friends, there was no real excitement around me. It was just me and my baby. I felt a bit down. I think I put too much pressure on myself. And then there was more of an exposure to social media. I felt like I was losing out. And then the trauma that if we have sex, I'll get pregnant again. And then I'll go through the experience again. It was a struggle for a while.
The content of this podcast is for informational purposes only. For medical advisory and care, please consult your healthcare provider. Welcome to Road to Motherhood, the podcast where we discuss all things becoming a mom. I'm so happy to be here today with my friend Ikechi, and we'll be going through her story of becoming a mother, all the way from conception to the pregnancy experience or experiences, because she's had more than one child, to labor and delivery experiences, as well as her postpartum period. All right, so let's get right into it. Ikechi, welcome. Good to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm happy to be here.
Okay, so please go ahead. Let us know a little bit about yourself, what you do, and how many kids you have.
Okay, so my name is Ugwoeje. I run a company called White Rabbit NG, and I'm also a founder of the Unstoppable Woman Network. I have 2 kids, a boy who is 7 years old and a girl who just turned 3 years old.
Fantastic. Thank you. And thank you for coming. I know that to commit your time, your energy, it's always something these days for anybody to commit. So I appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go directly to the beginning. Conception, the gang time. So after you got married, did you and your husband say to yourselves, okay, let's start trying for children immediately. Let's just hit it. Or did you say to yourselves, let's give it some time. Let's, enjoy ourselves first before we get into the parenting life?
So we didn't even have a conversation.
No conversation.
And if honestly, if I knew that I could have that conversation, I would have waited a bit longer. But I got pregnant right away. Like we didn't have a conversation. You know how newlyweds are. We're just at it. And then, I was pregnant right away. And then I knew because I got really sick. Like really, really sick. And then my period didn't show up. So I tested and found out I was pregnant. The testing was even very random. It was funny. I went to work. I went to do a delivery in Games Village in Abuja. And I was like, this feeling I'm having. So I just stopped at the clinic just by this. I said, this is a clinic. Let me just stop. And I stopped and I said, I want to do a pregnancy test. And they said, okay. And they tested it. And I was like, okay, what can be wrong? Am I sick? And then it came out pregnant. I was like, so it was right away. There was no discussion, nothing. It was just straight into it.
So it was a pleasant surprise.
Yes, it was a pleasant surprise. It was a pleasant surprise, yeah.
And how was your second conception? Like, was that one more planned?
No, it wasn't planned either. My second conception was absolutely not planned. I say absolutely because it was the year of COVID. And
pandemic.
Nobody wanted to be in the hospital. The lockdowns, the fears, the threats, all that was going on. And then I had trauma from my previous pregnancy that kept me afraid of getting pregnant. So it wasn't planned. I feel like it was just time. So it just happened that way.
Okay, and we'll get into that, the pregnancy experiences.
Yes.
Now, between your first and second child, what's the gap in terms of age?
My first is going to be 8 this year in October, and my second is 3. So there's about 5 years in between.
Okay, so that trauma lingered for 5 years.
It lingered.
As well, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move into the pregnancy experiences.
Yes.
How was it like for you the first time around versus the second time around, especially with that difference in between?
Yeah, the first time, of course, I was a new mom, first time pregnant. Not a lot of information, no experience, nothing. There was a lot of fear. There was a lot of, like I was thrown, I consider myself a very confident, knowledgeable person, but this was totally new to me. Like I was fumbling. And then I was sick during my first pregnancy. My second pregnancy, I was sick as well, but just for a short time, and then it was just free-flowing from there. But I was sick a lot. And then, of course, me and my husband, we just got married. We're acclimatizing ourselves to each other. And then I get pregnant. And then the experience wasn't 100%, all lovely. With the nausea, aversion to so many things. I was tired. It was just so uncomfortable for my first pregnancy. I couldn't even, I always dreamed of being a yummy mommy, like, wear certain baths, look, when you see them on Instagram, you're like, you're wearing heels. I still can't wear heels, but mine wasn't like that. I couldn't even, like, clothes were so annoying, like, I couldn't do anything. It was just... But the second pregnancy I was a bit more confident. Okay. And then I had more energy because I was able to walk till the day I had my baby.
Okay. So not necessarily night and day pregnancies, but the second was much better than the first.
Definitely much better.
Okay.
Yes.
I can really relate to that, your first pregnancy experience, right? Because I always say that for me, and I've only gone through it one time so far.
Yeah.
I always say everything that could go wrong felt like it was going wrong. So when you say, okay, you didn't want to even wear clothes, you were feeling sick, as you were just saying, I just kept saying, me too, me too, and me three.
Wow, can you imagine?
So yeah, that's very relatable, at least to me. I know some people have the yummy mommy experience.
Yeah.
I was not the yummy mommy. It was something very different, but yeah. So I appreciate you for sharing that, because I also relate to that as well. Okay, so when it comes to also that pregnancy period, right, for both of your kids, did you feel like you had any physical changes that shocked you? Whether it's discoloration of skin that happens sometimes, I know I experienced some of that, whether it's stretch marks that you hadn't seen before, even whether it's like changes in body shape, anything that you felt threw you for a loop that you weren't expecting?
Okay, when I was pregnant, for the first 3 months, like I said, I was very sick. I was in and out of hospital for both kids. I was very, very ill. Like, when I say this, very sick, people just think, okay, she was sick. No, I couldn't eat anything. Everything was, as soon as it goes in, it comes right out, So I lost a lot of weight. And then, so I'm asthmatic. But during my pregnancy, I was not asthmatic.
So the gift of pregnancy.
Yes, and then during my pregnancy, I didn't have astigmatism. Like my eyes, I need my glasses at all times, but I could see without my glasses. So I was wondering, like, how, that shocked me. That shocked me. I didn't have any skin discolorations, so it was just basically that extreme weight loss because I couldn't eat. And then the health conditions, which just became better. The illness part, the doctor told me later that it's my body fighting the embryo. So for the first 3 months, because that's when I'm like really sick, I can't eat. It's like the feeling is I don't know how to describe the feeling, but it's almost as if you are not grounded. You're not on the ground. It's just a terrible feeling. You're just feeling sick, and it's like my body is trying to expel this new thing that is in my body. That's when people lose their pregnancies, around that time. Okay. Yes, but my body is also trying to tell whatever is fighting that no, this is safe. This is a good thing, And then because the sickness goes like this, you wake up one morning, you are well. The difference is like you are, and then you're well, So it's crazy. So that was the difference that I noticed during both pregnancies. Yeah. Okay. And of course, my feet went from a size 30. I used to wear size 37. Now I wear 40.
Oh, till today?
Yes, he
Okay.
has bluntly refused to go back. So, and I used to wear heels.
Okay.
And till today, even if I wear 1 inch, my back just tells me, Mommy, go and wear your flat shoes. Go and wear your slippers. Go and wear your Crocs.
So I
Yeah.
feel you on the heels thing.
Yeah.
But I can't even lie. It's not pregnancy. I never liked them even before pregnancy.
Oh, okay,
so
okay.
It's just
okay,
now. It's also an easy excuse for me not to wear them.
Yeah,
That's for me.
but you are tall and you're gorgeous, so you can get away with that.
It is well. Okay, so wow. When you're talking about being sick those first 3 months and saying that it happened in the first pregnancy and the second,
Yeah.
that makes me. That's interesting to me because many times I hear people say, "Oh, don't worry, that second pregnancy experience will be nothing like the first experience."
No.
And this is a great example that sometimes
It's the
it can be a
same
bit
thing.
similar, even if it's not the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes you will experience similar symptoms, and that shouldn't surprise you if it happens.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that. So that me too, I won't be surprised if anything shows up again.
I
Hopefully
prepared.
not.
I was prepared because of my experience with the first pregnancy. I was aware that it could be different, but the minute I got pregnant, I knew I was pregnant. I tested and I confirmed. I started preparing for that 3 months.
Okay.
Immediately, I was like, all the things I needed to do, wanted to do a family portrait, there were some things I wanted to do. I said, let us do it before I fall sick because I know. And as soon as I fell ill, it was downhill from there, in and out of hospital.
And so,
yes, and it was because of course, I wasn't eating, so they had to give me a lot of fluid. Okay. And then because I wasn't eating, I was prone to asthmatic incidences. So I was nebulized and all of that. It was just a lot of all of that. Weakness, just that sick feeling, just bring her to the hospital. Let us watch her. Let us be sure that she's okay. They'll bring me, just leave her with us. Because my husband did not know what to do. Like, he was confused. I'll just be ringing in pain. What's the matter? You can't even say. Like, it's just what they call it, malaise. Like, it's just
just like all over you.
It's just all over you, from the tip of your head to your toes. It's just all over you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, you're stronger.
It's not pain. It's just.
Yeah. No, you're strong because when you talk about hospital stays, I know that while I was really sick, I never actually ended up having to go in for hospital stays. So I just think to go through that twice, kudos to your
the
strength.
first time I was just in hospital twice.
Okay.
The first time was malaria. I had malaria. The second time I had an asthmatic attack. So it wasn't like for the pregnancy, it was like during. So they used to tell me, you need to eat. Oh, you need to, okay, if you can't eat this. I drank malt for 3 months. That was all I could eat.
Okay, so for 3 months, all you could drink was malt.
I was just taking malt. And I had to drink water with a straw. Even though I couldn't drink water. That's why when I see certain things happening, like maybe I go to a restaurant and I see a woman being odd, I just calm down because you don't know what is going on there. You don't know
all the
what
emotions,
is going on there.
All the emotions that start, and hormones and everything.
Bring it. I need lemon cut a certain way. You don't understand what's going on there. There might be a reason. Now,
you just said something about lemons being cut a certain way. Now, did you have any cravings that were odd during pregnancy? During either of your pregnancies?
I think what happened with me was I started hating things I love.
Okay.
I didn't drink Coke throughout my first pregnancy and Indomie. I hated Indomie, the smell, everything during my first pregnancy. Like, I hated it. What did I crave? I craved snails. I craved pear, but I love pear. So, it's seasonal. And I was not craving it out of season. So it was so odd. I craved, what else did I crave? I think that was it. And then I liked the smell of washing liquid, like detergent. So there was a time my husband bought cow leg pepper soup. And the smell filled the house. And I thought I was going to die. I thought I was going to die. Like, I was like, how could you? I know you hate me. You want to kill me. So I ran into the bathroom, poured a lot of detergent into a bucket and just,
inhaling it.
Just let it foam. And so that I filled the whole bathroom. And I was just there inhaling detergent smell to remove the pepper soup smell. Because I actually literally thought I was going to die. Because I was like, this is... so that was very weird. Like, when I think about it now, I'm like, I don't like the smell of detergent now, So that was weird.
But it's pregnancy. You have weird things come up.
Yes.
So, like, again, it takes somebody having gone through it sometimes to also understand it, right?
Yes.
Because when you said the cow soup smell was doing too much for you, I was laughing in my mind, thinking of something similar.
Yeah.
My husband had made Indomie. And I was also so averse to Indomie. When I smelled it in the house that day during pregnancy, I thought I was literally going to die. Just like you said, I thought I was going to die.
Yeah, it was a put off. My second pregnancy, I didn't really have cravings. I pretended like I had cravings because I think we're a bit more settled, and I wanted my husband to do a lot of stuff for me, and it was just, so I would say, I want to eat chocolate, I want to eat, but the thing I craved was mango. But they kept warning me, and I don't really like mango, so I was wondering, like, where is this love coming from? But they kept warning me that I shouldn't eat mango to make my child have jaundice, which I think was just...
I've never heard that one.
Stories that touch.
I haven't heard that one before.
I don't think it's true. I think it's just an old wives' tale.
Okay, but you craved it during the second pregnancy?
Yes.
Mangoes?
Yes, because it was everywhere. It was everywhere. We were walking in the junction, it was everywhere, and the big luscious, and then I had, I don't know if I should talk about this, but
Say it too. Say it.
So now that I am, I would say, like 3 years out of pregnancy, I keep asking myself, what was it about Reggae John Page that I was so obsessed with? And I figured that it was pregnancy, because I was obsessed beyond the normal. I don't know, he was the Duke in Bridgerton, one series that aired on Netflix.
That Netflix series.
Yes.
I haven't watched it, but I know of it.
I was unnecessarily obsessed with him, the way he looks. I don't know.
Okay,
and I
and
now
you were pregnant
because
during
now,
that
yes,
period.
and because now I look at him and I'm like, he's just a normal guy. Like, I'm not even like, what was this about this? My husband yabs me about it till today. Like, hey, see, your husband has come. Or have you watched the new Britain? Is your husband there? Stuff like that. And I'm like, who? So I think that also was one of the scoring that went on.
Do you know what's so funny? I used to see some posts you shared on Instagram, your Instagram stories, and it was about that. I don't know his name, but that actor from Bridgerton. I held back
a bit because it was a lot. Because people noticed and they were like, what's wrong with IJ? But
not knowing that you were going through.
I was holding back.
Interesting hormones.
Yes, I think it was pregnancy hormones.
That's okay.
I think I even lost sex drive around that time. For both pregnancies, like. Yes, that's one. Some people get a lot of sex drive, but me, my focus was on this dude.
So you've segued into another area that we should also talk about. Like you said, the sex drive that you experienced during pregnancy, whether it went up or it went down or it stayed the same. You said you lost, right? Was that the case for both pregnancies? Did you feel it wasn't really there for both?
I think my sex drive for my first pregnancy was around maybe later, like when I had gotten really big, I went to fear, because around my 8th month, it was just fear and anxiety, So maybe that's why I lost, and my husband was not around. I went to give birth with where my mom-in-law was. And then for my second pregnancy, I think it was just a case of, I don't know. I don't know. I can't remember if it was during pregnancy that it wasn't there. But for the first one, I know that around 7-8 months, it wasn't. I didn't want anybody to come near me.
And it's important to talk about these things because, again, our hormones are so odd during pregnancy, right? And it can show up in different ways for different people.
Yes.
So it's
people
just,
is like they want to grab They just want it at every,
And then somebody
turn.
else is like, I beg you.
Yes, somebody else like,
leave
don't
me where I
even
am.
come near me.
So
Like,
it just depends on what's happening in your body at that time,
Yes.
based on your own hormones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Great.
So now let's get to the other matter. The matter of what I like to call the miracle matter, the labor and delivery situation. So what was that like for you first time around versus second time around? In terms of how long were you in labor and how did everything progress? Please go ahead.
So like I mentioned earlier, one of the reasons why there's the gap between my kids is a bit of trauma I experienced from my first pregnancy. So my mom is late. She passed on about 11 years ago. So I didn't have anybody to do omugo for me or help me or any of that. So my husband's mom...
Sorry, and please, you can just explain omugo for anybody listening that doesn't understand.
Okay, so omugo is like a traditional help system for a woman who has just given birth. I think it originated with the Igbos. Yes, omugo is an Igbo where when a woman gives birth, her mom comes and helps her through for 3, like babies her basically, because you are at a very delicate stage. Like you need help. You are hurting. You are aching. So you can't be washing and cooking and all of that. So somebody comes in and takes away that responsibility. And most of the time they say, in 3 months you can adjust. Your body kind of adjusts back to where you can continue. I don't agree with that 3 months actually, but at least 3 months is
like minimum help.
Minimum, typically yes. Because honestly, 2 years, anyways.
We'll get to that.
Yes. My mom-in-law invited me to stay at their house because she still works, so she couldn't come. So she said I should come, and she's very kind to me. She's lovely. I God blessed me in that area. So I had to go to Calabar when I was 8 months pregnant. Yeah, and I stayed with her for some months, and they took me for all the tests. Of course, I had what they call that thing, pile.
Okay.
Hemorrhoids, pregnancy hemorrhoids, the most painful. If I had another, I had pregnancy hemorrhoids close to giving birth. So I was induced because I think the reason why I was induced was not necessarily because I was late, but because I didn't know when I got pregnant. I didn't know
the exact period.
The exact period. So my details were not well recorded. So they induced me based on, I would say, faulty information. Okay. So they thought I was late. I don't think I was late because when my son came out, he came out looking confused, like, why am I, So I was induced. And that's one of the most painful things. Believe me, like my friend says, like liquid fire. So I went through 14 hours of labor after being induced, and it was crazy. Like I was in pain. I was in labor for 14 hours. The matron of the hospital kept coming. She was very kind. She kept coming to rub my back and everything. But my mom was like, this is just a placebo because this thing I do is not working. Like
the pain is too much.
The pain was a lot. Like I've never had that kind of pain. When you ask people about childbirth, my sister had 2 kids. When I asked her, she would say, it's painful, but don't worry. I mean, it's not something you cannot be. They lie. As if let me not scare her. It was look, childbirth is painful. And nobody told me I could ask for epidural. Nobody told me. It's now I'm hearing, you can ask for anesthesia, you can ask for epidural. Nobody told me. They just did the thing and left me. And labor started immediately. For 14 hours, I was crying and in pain. And my husband was just confused. He didn't know what to do. If he holds me, I'll be angry. Like, you did this to me kind of thing. My mother-in-law was just praying. Of course, she had to go calm and everything. Eventually, I was dilated 8 centimeters. And, they took me to the delivery. And the delivery happened a bit fast.
Okay.
After I started pushing. But then my husband was in the room. My mother-in-law was in the room. They were just there praying and everything. And, because one of the things that they just wanted to be sure that I was fine, because they had incidences of losing people at childbirth in my husband's side of the family. So a bit of paranoia and everything from that. So they just wanted to be sure I was okay. So they were in the room with me. So when my son, I did a vaginal birth. So when my son was delivered, and he came out with his eyes open, looking like, what's going on here? And they took him to clean him up. And because I was torn to bring him out, and they started to stitch me up right after, without anesthesia.
Without anesthesia?
Yes.
Okay. So that was mistake number 1. Or maybe number 2. But okay.
And I think I have pain memory. I still feel like I don't even understand what kind of wickedness or what kind of mistake. I don't even understand. And it was painful. It was it was really painful. But, of course, they gave me later on, of course, after all the cleaning and the
sorry,
skin to skin and everything.
I have to pause you. Because I have to go back to this without anesthesia part. So you're saying they stitched you after delivery, after you tore, or they tore you, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
with a razor.
Okay, let me rewind. Okay. So when it was time for your son to be delivered,
yes,
the nurse in the room or the doctor in the room?
The doctor. There were 2 doctors and a nurse and a matron.
A razor.
Yes.
To tear you a little bit, right?
Oh, a thing. I don't know, but it was sharp, so it has to be a razor,
okay. To make some tears to help the baby come out, right? That's what they say.
Yes.
Okay, so when the baby came out and they started to stitch you back up,
yes,
they stitched you without required anesthesia.
Oh, it's required. Okay, yes.
As far as I know. Because if you're going to go through stitching, they would have to give you anesthesia beforehand. As far as I know, even from my own experience, they had to give me anesthesia beforehand.
They didn't give me.
The reason
it was just right away.
The reason I'm taking it back now is that even with the anesthesia they gave me, I felt pressure and some pain. So you are saying without anesthesia at all, they were stitching you?
Without. It was like, okay, you have given birth, let's just do it right away and get everything done with and all of that. And I think the stitching was bad because sex became very painful when we resumed. Yeah. So
and please, how long was the stitching? I just have to keep asking about this a little.
It took about, let's say, 7 to 10 minutes.
So it was quick?
It was not quick enough.
Not quick enough?
Yeah, okay. So like at the most, let's say 15 minutes. So I was there just screaming and shouting. So it was just...
Without anesthesia?
Okay, let me say 10 minutes, 7 to 10 minutes. Yeah.
Please continue. I'm processing. Please.
Yeah. So of course, after I went to, they took me from delivery. There were no issues, no bleeding, nothing. They took me to my room, and of course, my baby, everybody was happy. It was early in the morning, around 4 a.m. So of course, by 6, people had started coming to be happy and everything. So it was good. It was good. That's my... I think we're discharged 2 days later. They just kept me 1 day just to... because it was my first pregnancy. So they just wanted to observe me. But they were like, I'm fine. I give birth. Everything is fine. I'm not ill. I don't have blood pressure issues, nothing. So they discharged me to go home with my baby and start, For my second pregnancy, after the 3 months of being ill, it was like I just got well and I just got so much energy. The yummy mommy I wanted to do, I was able to do it. I was, I was just okay. I was walking. I was going to walk every single day. I walked till the day before I gave birth. The day before I gave birth was Mother's Day. We had tons of deliveries, almost 12. I did them all. Me and my staff, we did all of them before I started feeling the contractions, on that day, on that Sunday. And then I was like, is this contraction? Because I didn't know what contractions were like because they induced me for the first one, So I asked my sister and she was like, just when you sleep, when you wake up in the morning, if it's more, then go to the hospital. So when I woke up in the morning, it was a bit more. So I just told my husband, while you're dropping our son, just take me to the hospital. So as I got to the hospital, they checked me and said I was already in labor. I was already about 2 centimeters dilated. So I was like, okay, good. This was around 9, let's say 9. And then, so they took me straight to the labor room and to prep me and all of that. And then, of course, the bigger contractions started. But because I had more knowledge at this time and I was a bit more prepared, I had learned about the breathing exercises that helped. Because contractions are painful.
They are painful.
They are painful. I know that some people have what they call those ones that are very small. My own goes on for it's painful. It's very painful. I even did a video of it so that I will remember in case I want to try myself again. Contractions are actually very painful. And they were my second baby, they were very painful. But luckily, I think it was like maybe 30 minutes of that and then I was ready to deliver. And I didn't push for too long. In fact, they were telling me, hold on, don't push it. And I was like, I think she wants to come out because I wanted to push, But eventually, they were like, all right, it's time to push. I think it was like 3 pushes. She was out. And my doctor assured me, because I told him about previous trauma and everything that happened, and he apologized for the doctor and said he will make sure that doesn't happen with him. He'll make sure that he doesn't tear me, and he'll make sure that they don't have to do any of that. I said, okay, I trust you. And I left it. And he kept his word. After I gave birth, I was in the room with my husband and the baby. And then my husband just looked at the bed and was like, and I was just feeling a bit faint. Just, how you be feeling like tired. My husband looked at the bed and the whole mattress was soaked. And we had already put that thing they ask you to bring. I can't remember what it's called. And then he said, I just stand up. And I stood up and I was bleeding chunks of blood. And it was just coming out, So he called the nurse and the nurse came and she was just looking like, okay, let me call the doctor. And as soon as the doctor came and we saw his face, we knew that something was wrong. Apparently I had postpartum hemorrhage.
Hemorrhaging, yes.
I was bleeding out. They say that's how people die. In fact, my husband, that's how his birth mom died. So I was bleeding out. So they took me to the theater, straight up, not even the delivery room, to the theater. And they were trying to do all kinds of things. At one point, I had to tell them, my body is not a mannequin, I'm a human being. Stop, because they took off my clothes and they were just, choking things in and just, God, I was like, what kind of nonsense is this? I thought this was done with, They had to call the medical director of the hospital, experience now. He just came, just did 1 or 2 things, just, He was asking me, Madam, are you feeling faint? I said, no, sir, I'm not feeling faint. Meanwhile, I was about to go, but I was saying in my mind, I will not die but live to declare the goodness of God.
That's right.
I will not. I am alive to take care of my children. I will see their children's children. I will, I was just declaring that I am alive. I am IJ White Rabbit. I am alive. I was just declaring life because that's what I know. Like when you see this situation, say this, And next thing he said, she's all right. Clean her up, let her go and rest. And I was discharged the next day.
The next day?
Yes, I gave birth on a Monday. I was discharged on Tuesday. I said, and I was perfectly fine. And I went home. There were some things that were not in the house because men now, sometimes our house help left just before I gave birth. So I had to go. I went to the market, not because I was forced to. I wanted to because I knew that if I leave my husband to go and buy these things, he will buy another thing that I don't want and I'll be angry. So let me go. So I went. He stayed in the car with the baby and I went and bought the things I needed. And after that,
the next day? That next day that you were discharged?
Yes. Yes, that next day I was discharged, So because my strength came back. Like I came back like myself. I had so much energy with my second, which I feel was, I don't know whether it's age or experience or mindset. I don't know, but I had more
energy the second time
the
around.
second time around. I was more prepared. Mentally, physically, spiritually. Hey, if you see my midnight warfare, because I didn't want that experience
Of the first time around.
I did not want it. And I was like, Lord, please, I am not a Hebrew woman, please. Spare me, please.
And I'm happy that you're going into so much detail.
Yeah.
Because it's in the details that we learn a lot about experiences. We'll talk about postpartum and the difference between the first and second experience and why you stepped into deeper warfare the second time around. I just want to go back a little bit because you said you were hemorrhaging.
Yeah.
They took you up to the theater. Initially, those who were there didn't know what they were really doing.
Yeah.
They called the medical director. The person came and got things taken care of for you. You were able to come back to your room and you were able to be discharged the next day.
Yeah.
You said that there's something you were saying about life and you kept speaking life, even though you felt like you were physically faint and possibly maybe felt like there wasn't much to offer in your body at that time to yourself, but you kept speaking life. And I definitely believe that that words have power. So I believe that words have power, and I think that part stood out to me, that you were saying the right thing, and supernaturally, right?
Yeah.
You got a fantastic result at the end of all that experience.
Yeah.
Can you just talk again just a little bit about the importance of words and saying the right thing? Because I do believe that, for example, if I think of my experience in the delivery room, I wasn't saying the right thing at a certain point.
Yeah.
And I think the only reason I also came out of it with a good outcome at the end of the day is because my husband was saying the right thing. He was in the room with me.
Okay.
My mother was saying the right thing.
Okay.
She was also in that room.
Yeah.
But I definitely was not.
Okay.
I was saying I'm done. But they were saying something to contradict my I'm done.
Yeah.
So please just talk just a little bit about the power of words.
Yeah. So later on, when I told my husband that I was actually, feeling like I was drifting away, he was angry with me. He was saying that I should have told the doctor that. I should have said that to the doctor that I'm feeling faint. I feel like I'm going. I said no, because I am when I take this very seriously. When there is a casting down, I declare that there is a lifting up. I'm a faith person. Christians are of different types. This is how I see the world. Christians are of different types. Me, I'm a faith and love Christian. There are some people that are deliverance Christians. There are some people that are different Christians. Me, I am a faith. I believe 100%. And if the Bible says, if you can speak, you will have what you say. You will not hear from my mouth. So the economy, you can never hear me listening to those things. I speak life. I speak wealth. I speak abundance. I might not see it though, but I'll speak it. So when that thing was happening, and the reality was that I could have died. That's the reality.
That is the reality. It could have been that.
I felt like I was going because I felt myself drifting. I know I've had asthmatic episodes where I've been breathless, so I know what it feels like. I felt like I was being drained of blood and I was going. But I refused because I told myself I will not die but live to declare the goodness of God. I have purpose. God has given me purpose. I have things that God has told me that will happen when I'm 50, when I'm 60. He has shown me. So I will live to declare those things. So what are people talking about? Oh yeah, you're doing this thing. Your work is just to do the work. Me, I will stay in faith and know that this is not where it ends. That was just my own. And it's very important to speak because the world will contradict what God told you.
Very true.
Situations. But if you open your mouth and say, align yourself with, because it's what you say. The devil cannot read your mind. That's why they say sometimes don't share your dreams with don't share your dreams with certain people. It's not the people. It's the words that once your words come out, you have given it permission. Words are seeds. Words have power. Words have their own. So I just said no. Even if you don't speak it out, say it to yourself. That's why affirmations, confessions, I am a masterpiece. You feel ugly. Ugly how? When you're a masterpiece. How? So those words saved me. My husband is still angry with me till today that, that's not how medicine works. So that's what I say, that's your business. That's your business. After medicine will say the woman does not have womb. The next day she's pregnant. Explain it to me. So.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That is so enlightening, so encouraging. And even from me that's asking you, right?
Yeah.
It's hitting something in me because the Lord knows that sometimes I'm just going to say it as I'm saying it. So being reminded that you have to say what is true and what you believe above what things look like is a great reminder. I'm sure for many people also listening and for me as well. So thank you. Tides, I mean. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's kind of wrap up with the postpartum experience. And I always appreciate people sharing their stories about postpartum because many times we think it ends once the baby or babies have been delivered.
Yeah.
However, from my experience, I realized that was just when the next season was beginning.
Yeah.
So please, how were your postpartum experiences in terms of even feeding? Like, how was it with feeding?
Yeah.
Did you do breastfeeding? Did you do formula?
Yeah.
How was it with support? Did you have people supporting you?
Yeah.
How was it in terms of your mind, your mental state? Yeah.
So for my first child, my son, my mental state was okay for a while, but because I was cut away from family and friends, because of where I was, I couldn't travel back immediately. I was still with my mom-in-law. She was very nice, my father-in-law, God bless his soul. They were all very nice, they were helpful. But because I felt alone. They are older people, I felt alone and isolated. There was no real excitement around me. It was just me and my baby, So I think it affected me a bit. I started having, a bit of withdrawal, just feeling down. I won't call it depression per se, but I felt a bit down. And then when I started breastfeeding my son, because I didn't know anything about latching and this and that, I didn't know that my son was not eating because he was not latching. So I'll just put him on my breast and he'll be sucking. But I didn't know he wasn't getting the milk because there's a way you have to put your child for them to latch and start sucking, for them to get the milk. If they don't latch, they cannot get the food, So I didn't know all of that. So for like a month, my child was not eating. He was just getting maybe small draw, and he was losing. So it was his father that just pointed out that this picture you sent to me, he's very skinny. So we took him to the hospital, and the doctor was now telling me that maybe I'm not producing enough breast milk. And I was like, no, I am. They gave me that fresh palm wine. I don't drink alcohol, but they gave me one fresh palm wine. And my, breast milk was just flowing. So they told me to get a breast pump, get this, get that, and I started feeding him, and he got so, but I did exclusive for 6 months. And then I fed, my son refused. My son bluntly refused to stop breastfeeding. I had to be admitted in hospital for 4 days for him to stop. Not because of him, but for something else, for him to stop breastfeeding. Like he was just, but I didn't really have much postpartum issues after my son. When I came back to Abuja, I just went right back to work, and I just, I felt alone for a long time because, of course, you can't go out. You can't do much, But I started watching a lot of TV, which was not really my thing. I started all of that, reading books. And then for my second child, my daughter, after I had her, I think I put too much pressure on myself. And then there was more of an exposure to, I would say, social media. And because my business had advanced more than it was with my son, I felt like I was losing out. So I think that's where the postpartum depression came from.
Please go into that, like losing out in what sense?
Well, business, money, when you step away from business for a while, that interruption can cause you to lose so much. Competitors take over, people forget, you are saying no to your clients a lot. There are people who, like the way my business is set up, is a very personalized service. A lot of the time, people want you to bring the service to them, not just send somebody. And when I couldn't do that, and I couldn't do that for a lot, it starts becoming somehow, okay, let me try this. So and then in my mind, I felt like I'm a go-getter, a hard worker, and I felt like I couldn't do anything. Like I had to just be here with baby. It was annoying to me. I'm going to admit it was kind of annoying to me. Like there are women who, are happy to just take that time and just rest and, but me, I wanted to still be, I would say I had male envy a little bit. Because now I would just wake up in the morning, get dressed, have a bath, okay, so see you guys later. He has gone. I mean, I'm just there with the baby, and my mind, I'm like, I should be there, conquering the world like I used to. And this man is, he can come and go as he pleases. I mean, I have to just be here, but that was it. But the truth is, now I realize that, there's time, because everything I tried to do then just failed. Because that was not what I was supposed to be doing. This was what I was supposed to be doing, but I didn't have that realization then. So I struggled, through it for like 2 years. There was a period of like 2 months that I didn't leave my room because I was depressed. Like I was really, really depressed. I was angry at everybody, angry that, this is not the plan I had for my life. But I was able to seek some form of therapy, and of course, I went back to the things I love to do, reading and, personal development and everything. And I came back to myself. I always tell people I got my power back because I just came back to myself after a while. I think that coming back to myself is actually hormonal. Now that I have more knowledge about it, because your hormones are a certain way after you give birth, and they have to, arrange before they get back to even the struggle with sex drive. It was a big struggle because, of course, like I said, the tear wasn't well sewn, so there was pain. And then the trauma that if we have sex, I'll get pregnant again, and then I'll go through the experience again. So it was a struggle for a while. But after I had my second daughter and my hormones set, everything is settled, and like I would say my body kind of recalibrated back. All the things I had struggled with in my mind, in my body, just went back to normal. So all the struggles I just needed to just wait. It was patience I needed. It was patience I needed. And let me just say another thing I realized. A lot of the time, when some women have children back to back, right? Like, so every 2 years or every year plus, they are pregnant. And when they get married and they get pregnant and that happens. So a period of like, let's say 6 years, they're having issues with their marital issues with their husband because he feels no sex drive. Why are you so crazy? Why, all of that. And then, after they have their last child and then you give them 2 years, do you realize that they go back to the woman that they used to be? But because we're not aware, we don't have the knowledge that period of back to back, there's no time, there's no recovery time. There's no recovery. She hasn't but once she now say, oh, I've had my last child, let me now, chill. Just give her a few months. She now goes back, recalibrates hormonally and everything. And then the man is wondering, what changed? She has rested. Her hormones have returned back to their normal workings. Let me put it that way.
There is so much you have said about this postpartum part that I want to just digest everything that you said, because there's so much to talk about in each thing you mentioned.
Yeah.
Let me start with this last thing you said. You talked about hormones recalibrating back, right?
Yeah.
I saw something online, an article that's where it was said, never make a major decision about your marriage or anything in your life within the first 2 years after you've given birth.
Yes, I agree.
they were like, and the article said that you are too vulnerable here. You're not thinking straight. You're going through sleep deprivation. You're going through hormonal things happening. You're going through trying to figure out how to keep your baby alive and well and functioning. So the article said, this is never the time to say, okay, maybe I don't love my spouse,
Exactly.
or we need to get a divorce, or this, or yes, we're not having sex where we should be.
Yes.
The article said that
it's not a good
those
time.
first 2 years, just forget it. Like,
and they should tell men as well.
Don't use those first 2 years to judge anything.
Yes.
They were like, give it 2 years, and then you will see how a lot of things will reset themselves, including hormones for the woman.
Exactly.
And I think that is game-changing if people know it.
Yes.
Because if you know it, you can manage your expectations.
Yes.
And what you see happening, that might be some tension in your relationship or your marriage, you'll know that we don't have real problem. We're just going through a tough season.
Exactly.
We will be fine once we get to the other side of it. But if you don't know that, you'll think that you actually have a bad situation.
Yes.
You'll think that this is terrible, I can't do this, So to me, that is so powerful to know.
Yeah.
So you mentioning that it took about 2 years, and I've heard about that, like averagely 2 years. And it makes sense as a fellow woman and mom, because I know that my daughter is 19 months now, and I'm like, some things have reset in the way my body is, in the way my mind is operating, but some things are still resetting on the way. Yeah. So it makes sense, right? But if you don't know that makes sense, you will think that what you're in is a terrible situation, and you can't survive it.
Yes.
But it's not true. Whether it's the sleepless nights, whether it is feeling the baby blues sometimes, all these things are part of the package, right? The time when it's an issue is if you enter into things like a deep-seated depression.
Yeah.
Then you need to also get help for that. But if it's not to that level, if you don't want to harm yourself or harm your child, there are some things that it's just part of the course that you just have to make it through, right? With the right words and with the right affirmations. So thank you for that. I think that will really help a lot of women and men who need to know that it's not.
You might think your wife what's wrong with this one?
You might think, she's losing herself. Well, maybe her mind is a little bit out of it right now.
This information
She'll get it back together
actually saved my marriage.
Thank you for saying that.
Because
it has the power to do that.
It was a mess. Because I was like, what is this? I was like, I don't think we'll survive this.
Because of what it felt like.
Yes. I mean, it wasn't like it was because, you know the usual reasons for people wanting a divorce is maybe cheating or what's this other one, like beating and all of that. He wasn't doing any of that. He was just annoying me. He was just annoying. Like, I was just like, what am I doing here? Why am I with this person? Why am I here? But it was all hormonal. It was all, and now because I have awareness, and that's why I tell people awareness is so important. So important. Because I have information now, because of the information I got, I think maybe we read the same thing. Because of the information I got, I now knew that all of this I'm going through is all in my head. And guess what? My daughter is 3. She just turned 3 on the 10th of May. As soon as I got out of like that period of, I would say that beginning period of, if the first year, the second year, things just started recalibrating. Really. He was no longer annoying. In fact, I saw how helpful and loving he is. And he helped me with my business throughout the period when I was, and then I was like, what's all this, what are we even quarreling about? What's this about? You looked at me the wrong way. I don't like your tone. Is that why people leave their homes? I beg. So it was able to help me to calm down. And him as well, because he got the information as well. So he became more understanding. Oh, even when I'm on my period now, he knows that, are you sure it's not hormones that is doing you? This fight you are frowning, this answer you are giving me. He's more understanding now because he has information as well.
What you've been sharing right now is so powerful. And I commend you for being honest. I always say, honest stories save lives. I really believe this. I believe I am a huge product of people telling stories that were honest, that carried me through seasons where, whether I was going through a sad moment or a hopeless moment or whatever else throughout my life, I stumbled upon somebody's story that was honest. The key is honest here. Yeah. And it really did something for me. Sharing both the ups of whatever they were experiencing and the downs of whatever they were experiencing, it encouraged me. Yeah. So thank you for doing that for those who are watching. Yeah. You don't know who this is reaching. Yeah. You don't know how many. Even me, it is re-encouraging me So thank you so much for
Glad,
sharing.
yeah.
I appreciate you. So you mentioned going through baby blues, kind of, but not being depressed your first pregnancy, right?
Yeah.
After your first delivery.
Yeah.
So I love that you mentioned that, because I think in this day and age with social media and with the mention of postpartum depression, right? I think sometimes we lump everything that is a woman experiences after giving birth to postpartum depression. And there are different things that could be happening to you. Sometimes you could be in postpartum depression, like you mentioned in your second time around.
Yeah.
Sometimes you could be having baby blues, which is moments of feeling sad, feeling down, which also makes sense because you are sleep deprived and you need sleep to function well and to think well.
Yeah.
So maybe through sleep deprivation and a baby that might be constantly crying or going through different things, you might be feeling down throughout.
Yeah.
During some moments of your postpartum period. Doesn't necessarily mean you are depressed.
Yes.
Then there's also postpartum anxiety, where it's not necessarily that you're depressed, but you're having these really weird anxious thoughts that are plaguing your mind.
Of course.
Which is what I know that I went through heavily.
Yes, yeah.
Thoughts of, something's going to happen to
I had those.
your child, or
Will I
something,
lie down
or,
with the child?
do you
Is she
understand?
breathing well?
Checking, is she breathing? Which
Is she breathing well?
it's anxiety playing.
It is.
But you have to know that, so that when it happens, you're not thinking you're going crazy or thinking, what is happening here?
Yeah.
Am I going mad? No, it kind of kicked in. It's an instinct that kind of kicked in for you. But maybe for some people, it went into overdrive. So thank you for also mentioning that distinction between the baby blues you had the first time around in postpartum and then the actual postpartum depression you had the second time around. Yeah. So thank you, Ije. I want to ask you if there's any final thoughts about your postpartum period you want to share, like anything that really you feel every woman should keep in mind. And you said so many fantastic things, but if there's anyone that stood out to you or anything else you haven't already mentioned, I'd love to give you the chance to share that.
Okay, so I think what I was talking about, the stages of, because I think for every woman needs to study her body and herself. People say, I was at a training one day and they were asking about if women should be leaders, very controversial. It was crazy that day. And some of the men were saying no, because women are too emotional, women are too this, women are too that, women are too that. And I realized that the reason why some women come across as emotional, some women that you would respect and say, oh, this woman is a solid woman, is hormones. We can't control it. It's like, for instance, a woman goes through 4 cycles for her menstrual cycle, 4 stages in her menstrual cycle. The menstruation period, the follicular stage, the ovulation stage, and the luteal stage, I think. I hope I'm correct. And every stage releases its own hormones. So during the menstruation cycle, of course, you know what happens during that time. The egg breaks and it flows and all of that. The ovulation stage, of course, where you are very open to getting pregnant. And that period, you are your most attractive. Your body releases a hormone that makes your hair shinier. You are very attractive.
I didn't know that.
Yes, not just to men. You feel beautiful and attractive. So even if you have like low self-esteem and issues, that period you are on tip-top shape. Then the follicular period, you are active. You feel like you can take on the world. You feel good. You have ideas. You're like, that's the period that if you have ideas, you need to run with it. Then the period just before you have your period, that's when you're telling yourself, you like this, you think you can do that thing. That's when you're putting yourself down. So it's all hormonal. There are periods when you can have, you are an overdrive, anything can take you off. Anything can take you off, and that's the period just before your period comes. So these are things that if women study, they can have an awareness of themselves, and they can know that this thing that is happening, this annoyance I'm feeling, this my friend I want to cut off, she didn't really do anything. It's because of the hormone that is in operation right now. It's unfortunate. Women, it's just testosterone that's work, and I think one other one. We There's estrogen, progesterone. There are so many, and each of them comes with its own drama. So when I had that realization, things that used to tick me off before, that I would just react. When it happens, I'll be like, I'll ask myself, is this a real thing? Or is this me about to react because of, is this a big thing? Is this really, because before, if you just annoy me, next day I've stopped talking to you. Because, but, and if you notice, that is a woman thing. Men are not really like that. It's because of hormones. Most of the issues that you say women don't like this, women don't like other women. It's hormonal. It's not who we are. So if you're able to separate it, and because you have the knowledge now, and you're able to say, okay, this thing is not me, it's hormone. Let me take control of this. Let me take charge of this. You will see that women will become very powerful people.
So what you just said, it has my mind doing ding, ding, ding. Because the two words that came to my mind as you were talking about knowing yourself, your body, your hormones, are awareness and accountability. So you have to know what's happening inside you. And I think many of us as women, I hope it's fair to say many of us, don't really completely understand what's taking place in our bodies. Let me now speak specifically. I can tell you that I have never done any real study about my hormones, about what's happening in my body, whether it's between menstruation period to ovulation to none of it. I just know when my period has shown up.
Yeah, I was
so
like that.
When you talk about things like understanding your hormones, understanding how it also affects your emotions, your behavior, I don't have any of that linkage because I haven't done any study of my body in that way. And that's unfortunate for me because there's so much I could have known about myself till date that could help me regulate my emotions better, help me possibly show up better in different instances and circumstances, even in my relationship, in my marriage, with my friends, with family. You never know where you could have improved if you knew something more about yourself that you can take accountability for, manage, and determine how it shows up in the world. So thank you for that, because it's really convicting me very much directly. Yeah. So I'm sure that it's doing that for some of our viewers as well. So thank you for sharing that. And you've given me homework. I didn't ask you to come and give me homework, but you've given me homework. Let me learn more about my inner working in my own body.
Because when you know what is going on, let me give you an example. I had a clarity session with a lady, and I told her that most of the outbursts you have, because she'll just delete a friend. She'll just, slap a boy. I mean, she used to have some funny outbursts. I told her, anytime you feel that way, record it. Write the date and how you felt. And guess what? Every time, around 19th to 23rd of a month, she starts having angry. She'll just wake up angry. She'll just see something on the internet. She's feeling down. Somebody you don't know died. You have received grief, her hormones. There was a hormone working. And I said, now that you know this, you have power to walk against it. I know some people will say, no, I'm the righteousness of God in Christ Jesus. My body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit works in my body. See, there's the Holy Spirit, yes, I agree, I'm a Christian. Yeah. But look, God created our physiology. And he's aware of all these things. My people die for lack of knowledge. Go and get knowledge so that you know how to navigate this thing that the Holy Spirit and God has given you. If not, you'll just be, shooting blank arrows and fighting unnecessary battles.
Fighting unnecessary battles.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. No, it's really convicting me personally. Yeah. I'm sure others too, but me personally too.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't just let hormones take over and do their thing without us understanding and being accountable for managing
women
them.
are more, more prone
to.
Because men is just one hormone, testosterone. Let's move, But women, we have so many. If you read about it, you'll be amazed. So many doing different havoc. Some good, some bad.
Okay, so we are literally almost done.
Yeah.
I just have a very quick rapid fire Q&A for you.
Cool.
So I'm just going to pull out a few questions.
Yeah.
And you'll just, in 5 seconds or less, quickly respond. So the first one, it's a simple one. Do you prefer texting or talking?
Talking.
Okay. Not me.
Should I say why? I used to prefer texting.
Okay.
But I prefer talking now because texting, a lot is lost in translation. And sometimes you are saying, I don't know how you do this thing, and you text, I don't know how you do this thing, and the person hears, I don't know how you do this thing, oh. So I'm like, let me talk so that you hear that my voice is calm.
My husband says that all the time.
Yeah.
He always says talking is better.
Yeah.
Okay. Chocolate or vanilla?
Vanilla for cake, chocolate for cake, vanilla for ice cream.
Okay. Beach vacation or hiking trip?
Beach, hiking, beach, please, lying down and chilling.
Carry me with you when you're going. Favorite childhood movie?
Alice in Wonderland.
A sound you love?
Violin. And babies laughing.
I love that too. Babies laughing. One thing that always makes you laugh?
Friends.
I
And
love reruns
Mr.
of
Funny.
Friends. I don't know Mr. Funny. But Friends?
Yes, Friends. I watch it. I mean, Friends my go-to. Friends.
Mine too.
Yeah.
One thing you can do for fun and self-care? Or one thing you do, for fun and self-care?
Fasting, massage, meditation, reading, like a lot of all of that.
One thing you love about being a mom?
So many things, but I love watching them grow. Like the milestones, they shock me every day. They just bring out one new Pro Max. I've seen they're on level Pro Max 15, Pro Max 16. Like I love watching them grow. It's a new thing every day. It's a wonderful experience, really.
One word that describes motherhood to you?
Sacrifice. That's my mom. For me, I would say love.
One thing you want your children to say about you when they grow up?
She's my role model.
And I trust that they will.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, IJ. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. I had a wonderful, wonderful time sharing all of this. Like it was a therapy of sorts because I was able to like unburden all of this, and I hope that somebody else will listen to this and say, yes, I went through that. Oh, thank God she said,
I believe they will.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you everyone for joining in to another episode of Road to Motherhood. It was such an enlightening episode. I learned so much. I hope you did too. My friend IJ really came, she shared, she was honest, and she left us with some homework to do, learning about our own bodies and learning about how we can actually have better Road to Motherhood experiences and experiences in life in general. So keep watching. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, like, comment, share the video as much as you can. Again, this is for any woman that is about to become a mom, any woman that has already become a mom, or anyone that desires to become a mom, and for your men too. So keep watching, keep joining in, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.